Hello everyone. In this video, we'll be discussing the poem A Thing of Beauty written by John Keats. Now let us go on to know something about the poet. John Keats was born in London on 31 October 1795. Although he died at the age of 25, Keats had perhaps the most remarkable career of any English poet. He published only 54 poems in 3 slim volumes and a few magazines. But over his short development, he took on the challenge of a wide range of poetic forms. His famous works include Fancy and The Human Seasons. Now we'll be going on to the para-wise discussion of this poem. So talking about the theme of this poem, it talks about a very beautiful subject. That is, beauty is permanent, beauty is everlasting, and the importance of beautiful things only increases with time. Beautiful things have so much to offer to us. They have so many positive things to offer to a human, and their importance only increases with time. So this poem also talks about poets' view on this subject, and the poet also goes on to give us the various examples of beautiful things that the nature has to offer us later in the poem. So starting with the poem, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases, it will never pass into nothingness. But will keep a bower quiet for us, and a sleep full of dreams, and health and quiet breathing. So in this starting paragraph, in the first line itself, we come to know that beautiful things are permanent. In this line, the poet is talking about the permanent nature of beautiful things, how they never fade away. And they are always stored in our memory. The glimpses, the pictures of all the beautiful things are stored in our memory. So that is why they are permanent in nature. They can never fade away. A thing that remains in human memory, it never fades away. Because if it is important, it will never fade away. And a beautiful thing is, the memory of a beautiful thing, it never fades away. The permanent nature of beautiful things has been talked about in the first line. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness. So with this line, the poet means that with the passing time, the beautiful nature of the beauty of the beautiful things, it only increases. The loveliness of all the beautiful things increases with time, and it will never pass into nothingness. A thing of beauty will never pass into nothingness. So what does pass into nothingness mean? This phrase basically means that with coming time, a thing of beauty will never go worthless. It will never grow worthless. Just as some things, just as an asset, anything like that, any material thing, at some point of time, it goes worthless. But this is not the same in case of a thing of beauty. It will never be worthless. It will never pass into nothingness. But will keep a bower quiet for us, and a sleep full of dreams, and health and quiet breathing. So with now the poet goes on to express the things a beautiful all the features a beautiful thing has, and how it can help us in having a sleep full of sweet dreams. So first of all, he is telling us that a thing of beauty, a natural beautiful thing, it will keep a quiet place, it will keep a beautiful place full of shade safe for us. The first thing. And the second thing, a thing of beauty can give us a sleep full of dreams, full of sweet dreams. And a sleep in which we are healthy, and we are breathing quietly, we are breathing peacefully. So all in all, a thing of beauty has many uses, which the author has expressed in the last lines. The first one being, it will keep a quiet and shady place safe for us, and it will give us a sleep in which we have sweet dreams, we are sleeping soundly, and we are breathing quietly and peacefully. So the word bower, it basically means a quiet, a pleasant, shady place. Therefore, on every morrow, are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth, spite of despondence, of inhuman dearth, of noble natures, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and o'er-darkened ways, made for our searching. Yes, in spite of all. So, in this specific paragraph, the poet goes on to the poet goes on to describe the beauty of the importance of beautiful things. He goes on to tell us that when you wake up from a beautiful sleep, when you wake up from a sound sleep, beautiful things, beautiful things will strengthen our bond with Mother Nature. In the last paragraph, we were left with a line that beautiful things make us have a sound sleep. So in the next paragraph, the poet is continuing on the same thought cycle. He's saying that when you wake up after a good sleep, beautiful things will strengthen your bond with Mother Earth. How is that? How will it strengthen our bond with Mother Earth? It will strengthen our bond with Mother Earth just because whenever we wake up and see all the gifts of nature, that it has to offer us. So now, spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth, of noble natures, of the gloomy days. Now, what does this line mean? This line means that our world has to offer so much of hopelessness, so much of sadness and lack of faith, and we as humans, we engage into a lifestyle full of full of indiscipline and full of gloominess. Despite of all these things, despite of all the gloomy days we go through, despite of all the lack of faith we have in our nature, in ourselves and in our surroundings, beautiful things never leave our sights. Even if we harm ourselves by our unhealthy habits, beautiful things, they never leave our sight. They always give us hope and optimism. They are available in Mother Nature for us to search for them. This is what these four lines, the ending lines that which start from spite of despondence and end with made for our searching. These lines basically mean that despite of all the unhealthy habits we engage in, lack of discipline, lack of faith, hopelessness, sadness, despite of all these values, the beautiful things give us hope, give us optimism, and they are available there and they are made for our searching. They are made for us to explore them. They are always available there to inspire us. Yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty or moves away the pall from our dark spirits. Such the sun, the moon, trees old and young, sprouting a shady boom for simple sheep, and such are daffodils with the green world they live in, and clear reels that for themselves a cooling covert make gainst the hot season. The mid-forest brake, rich with the sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms. So now the poet moves on to talk about various things that are beautiful. Now he goes on to mention a list of all the beautiful things. That is the sun, the moon, the trees, all of these things he goes on to talk about. Now what does he say? He says that some shape of beauty always moves away the pall from our dark spirits. This is the continuation of the previous paragraph. The poet is saying in this line that despite of all the unhealthy habits we engage ourselves in, some or the other thing of beauty always moves the curtain, always moves the cover from our dark spirits. It always exposes us to the beautiful aspect of life, to the positive aspect of life. Now he goes on to tell us that the sun and the moon, they are an example of a beautiful thing, and the trees, whether old and young, they protect the small animals, they protect the gullible animals from the shade that the sun has to, from the sunlight that the sun has to provide. So this is the explanation till for simple sheep, that the sun and the moon, they are the celestial bodies. All of the light they provide, the trees, young and old, they protect the animals and all the living creatures from their light. And such are the daffodils with the green world they live in. And the poet goes on to tell us that daffodils, which are a kind of a beautiful flower, they are also an example of a beautiful thing within the forest, within the green world they grow. Now, and clear rills that for themselves a cooling covert make against the hot season. Now, what does this line mean? It means that the cooling covert, all the fast flowing water bodies, all the lakes, waterfalls, oceans, all of the water bodies, they are so cool, they are so calm that they provide us comfort in the hot season of the summer break. So that is why they are so beautiful, because they are so selfless. They flow throughout the season. Some of the water bodies flow throughout the season. They are perennial and they provide us coolness in the summer season. So they are beautiful because of their selfless nature. Now the poet goes on to describe more two things. The mid-forest break, that is the bushes growing in the forest, and the musk rose blooms. Musk rose blooms are basically the rose flowers and all the other types of flowers that grow in a forest. So all in all, this paragraph talks about all the beautiful things that poet has to mention. The poet has mentioned all the a list of beautiful things in this paragraph. That is, let me repeat one more time. That is the sun, the moon. Thirdly, the trees, which protect all the living creatures from the light that the sun and moon have to shed on earth. After that, the daffodils, which grow in the lush green forests. After that, the cool water bodies that flow and provide us comfort in the summer season. And after that, the trees and the bushes growing in the forest, and the musk rose blooms, the beautiful flowers that grow in the forest. All of these things that I mentioned are the example of beautiful things. You can be asked a direct question from this paragraph. Mention an example of a beautiful thing that the poet has written in this paragraph. You can mention any of the things from the list that I have described. And such too is the grandeur of the dooms we have imagined for the mighty dead. All lovely tales that we have heard or read, an endless fountain of immortal drink pouring onto us from the heavens brink. Now, this paragraph, the crux of this paragraph is that beauty is even seen in death. How is that possible? Let me explain. So, beauty is also in the grandeur of dooms. Grandeur of dooms means that beauty is also seen in the glories and the magnificence of the mighty dead. In this paragraph, the author tells us that we can also see beauty in all the tales and stories that we have heard about the glory of the mighty dead, of our mighty ancestors. All these lovely tales that we have to hear of our ancestors, even though they are dead, even if these stories are dealing with their death, but they talk about all the mighty achievements that they have gathered all throughout their life. This is also an example of a beautiful thing. With this example, the author is telling us that there is beauty even in death. Now the author concludes this poem by a line that all the beautiful things are an endless fountain of an immortal drink which pours onto us from the heavens drink. By this beautiful line, the poet means that all the beautiful things, they come to us from an endless fountain of an immortal drink. All the beautiful things, they come to us from a endless fountain of a drink that never ends. It pours onto us, it comes to us directly from the God himself who lives in heaven. This is a beautiful ending to a poem in which the author says that all the beautiful things are like an endless fountain from heaven, sent by God himself for us to enjoy the gifts of the mother nature that he has created.